Imagine this. You've poured your heart into a relationship, romantic, familial, or professional. You've given your time, your energy, even parts of your identity. And yet the other person seems to pull away, creating a sense of imbalance. You try harder, communicate more, even plead for their attention, but the gap only widens. Does this sound familiar? Many of us are trapped in this cycle where effort becomes desperation, and desperation breeds distance. Why does this happen? And more importantly, how do we break free? Here lies the opportunity for a profound shift in perspective. What if the answer isn't trying harder but stepping back? What if, instead of filling every silence with words, we embraced stillness? This is the transformative power of Stoic relationships, an approach that teaches us to embrace the art of restraint, to focus only on what we can control, and to let go of the rest. The idea may sound counterintuitive, but that's precisely why it works. Modern culture tells us to chase, to assert ourselves, to fix every problem with immediate action. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Patience, silence, and detachment often yield far greater results. It's not about playing games or manipulating others. It's about rediscovering your inner strength and allowing others the space to choose their own path. When you step back and stay silent, you don't lose power, you reclaim it. This is your invitation to a transformative journey. Through 5 practical yet deeply philosophical principles, we'll explore how stepping back, staying silent, and observing can revolutionize the way you connect with others. By the end, you'll not only understand the wisdom of restraint, but also have actionable steps to integrate Stoic detachment into your relationships. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of Stoic relationships and experience their life-changing power? Stay with me. Let's begin with the first principle, understanding why we feel compelled to push so hard in the first place. 1. The illusion of control. Why we push too hard. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why do I feel the need to control everything? This question cuts to the heart of many relationship struggles. Whether it's a romantic partner who seems distant, a friend who's slipping away, or even a colleague who won't meet halfway, our instinct is to grip tighter. We text more, call more, explain ourselves more, thinking that if we just try hard enough, we can fix what's broken. But what if that very effort is the problem? Control is a seductive illusion. It whispers promises of certainty, assuring us that if we just do enough, we can steer the course of other people's emotions. But let me ask you this. How often has this worked for you? Stoicism teaches us a hard truth. Other people's thoughts, feelings, and actions are outside our control. As Epictetus reminds us, some things are up to us, and some things are not. Relationships fall into this duality. Your effort is up to you, the outcome is not. So why do we push too hard? Because it gives us the illusion of agency in moments when we feel powerless. The harder we try, the more we convince ourselves that we're doing something. But what are the results? Usually frustration for both parties. The other person feels suffocated, and we feel resentful when our efforts aren't reciprocated. It's a vicious cycle, one that can only be broken by stepping back. Here's where the wisdom of Stoicism comes in. When you step back, you're not giving up, you're letting go of what you cannot control. Think of it as a deliberate act of strength rather than weakness. By stepping back, you signal to the other person and to yourself that your worth isn't dependent on their validation. This isn't just empowering, it's magnetic. People are drawn to those who radiate self-assurance and calm. When you release the need to control, you create space for others to choose you freely. But stepping back isn't just about actions, it's also about mindset. Consider this. When was the last time you truly observed someone without projecting your own fears or expectations onto them? Stepping back allows you to see people as they are, not as you want them to be. This clarity is the foundation of authentic relationships. Without it, we're not relating to others, we're relating to our idea of them. Now, let's bring this down to a practical level. What does stepping back look like in everyday life? First, it means resisting the urge to over-communicate. Silence, contrary to popular belief, isn't the enemy of connection, it's the soil in which genuine communication grows. When you stop filling every gap with words, you allow others the chance to speak and yourself the chance to listen. This doesn't just apply to conversations, but also to your internal dialogue. How often do you spiral into overthinking, replaying scenarios, and crafting hypothetical responses? Stepping back means silencing that noise and trusting the process. It's worth noting that this principle doesn't just apply to relationships with others, it also applies to your relationship with yourself. Have you ever pushed yourself too hard, chasing perfection, trying to control every outcome? The same logic holds. The harder you push, the more resistance you create. Stepping back allows you to realign with what truly matters and let go of the rest. I want you to pause and reflect on this. What areas of your life are you trying to control that aren't truly within your power? What would happen if you stepped back, not in defeat, but in wisdom? This isn't about abandoning responsibility, it's about focusing your energy where it counts. Stepping back and staying silent can feel uncomfortable at first. Our minds crave action, we equate stillness with passivity. But Stoicism teaches us that restraint is often the most powerful form of action. Marcus Aurelius, the great philosopher-emperor, often reminded himself to bear in mind that the measure of any act is its conformity with reason. When we step back, we align ourselves with reason rather than emotion. We act from a place of clarity, not chaos. As we close this first principle, let's return to the initial question. Why do we push too hard? Because we forget what's truly within our control. But by stepping back and embracing stillness, we reclaim that control, not over others, but over ourselves. This is the essence of Stoic relationships: choosing restraint, choosing clarity, and choosing peace. If you found yourself nodding along thinking, yes, this makes sense, but how do I apply it? Don't worry, we're just getting started. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the transformative power of silence and how it can create the space for growth in any relationship. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss it. 2. The wisdom of silence, creating space for growth. Let's pause for a moment and consider something profound. How often do we mistake silence for weakness? Society constantly pushes us to speak up, assert ourselves, and take control of every situation. But is this incessant noise truly effective? Or could silence, the deliberate act of not reacting, be a far greater force for connection and growth? I think back to a time when you felt truly heard. Was it during a heated debate? Or was it in the quiet presence of someone who simply listened? The answer is almost always the latter. Silence, when wielded with intention, isn't passive. It's an active force that creates space for understanding, for reflection, and for transformation. This is the core idea behind Stoic relationships. Silence isn't just an absence of sound, it's the presence of wisdom. But how do we reconcile this with our instincts? When tensions rise in a relationship, our first reaction is often to fill the void, explaining, justifying, even arguing. It's as though we fear that silence signals defeat. Yet what if the opposite were true? What if silence were the ultimate demonstration of strength? Here's where Stoicism offers a timeless perspective. As Marcus Aurelius observed, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In moments of silence, we exercise this power. Instead of reacting impulsively, we choose stillness, allowing clarity to emerge. Silence isn't avoidance, it's a strategy, one that shifts the dynamics of any relationship. Consider this. When you resist the urge to speak, you're not just giving the other person space, you're giving yourself space too. This isn't about stonewalling or withholding, it's about stepping back and observing. What's truly being communicated beneath the words? What emotions are at play? Silence allows you to tune into these subtleties, transforming conflict into an opportunity for deeper connection. Let me ask you something. How often do we rush to fill silences because we're uncomfortable with what they reveal? Silence, after all, can feel vulnerable. It forces us to confront our own thoughts and fears. But this discomfort is where growth happens. By embracing silence, we not only strengthen our relationships, but also cultivate a deeper understanding of ourselves. Let's explore how this principle applies in practical terms. Imagine you're in a heated argument with a loved one. Every fiber of your being wants to defend yourself, to explain why you're right. But what if instead you paused? What if you allowed the silence to speak for you? This doesn't mean conceding, it means creating space for the conversation to shift. In that stillness, emotions often settle, revealing truths that words might obscure. Now, you might be wondering, does this really work? Won't the other person think I've given up or don't care? On the contrary, silence can be profoundly disarming. It communicates confidence and self-control, qualities that inspire respect. When you stop reacting to every provocation, you demonstrate that your paideia isn't tied to external validation. This is the essence of Stoicism, mastering yourself rather than being mastered by circumstances. But let's take this a step further. Silence isn't just about withholding words, it's also about deep listening. How often do we truly listen, not to respond, but to understand? Silence creates the conditions for this kind of listening. It allows you to hear not just the words being spoken, but the emotions behind them. This is where real connection happens. I think about the most impactful conversations you've had. Were they filled with interruptions and rebuttals, or were they marked by moments of thoughtful silence? The latter, no doubt. Silence, when paired with presence, is one of the most powerful tools for building trust and intimacy. It signals to the other person, I see you, I hear you, I value what you have to say. But what about the situations where silence feels unbearable? For instance, what if the other person misinterprets your silence as indifference? Here's where intention becomes crucial. Silence in the context of Stoic relationships isn't about withdrawing, it's about recalibrating. It's about showing up with a calm presence, even if you're not speaking. This might mean maintaining eye contact, offering a reassuring nod, or simply being there. Actions, after all, can speak louder than words. Let me share a story to illustrate this point. A close friend of mine once faced a conflict with her partner. The more she tried to explain her side, the more the argument escalated. Frustrated, she decided to step back and simply listen. For the first time, she resisted the urge to defend herself and let silence create space. To her surprise, her partner opened up in a way he never had before. That moment of silence became a turning point in their relationship, revealing vulnerabilities and truths that words had obscured. So how can you apply this in your own life? Start small. The next time you feel the urge to react, pause. Count to 5 if you must. Observe what happens in that silence. Notice how the other person responds and, more importantly, how you feel. You might be surprised by the clarity that emerges. Now, here's a challenge for you. Over the next week, practice intentional silence in one interaction each day. Whether it's with a colleague, a friend, or a loved one, resist the urge to fill every pause. Instead, focus on listening and observing. Pay attention to the dynamics that shift when you choose silence over reaction. Before we move on to the next principle, let's take a moment to reflect. Why do we fear silence so much? What would happen if we embraced it instead? Silence, when used wisely, is a bridge, not a barrier. It connects us to others, and more importantly, to ourselves. If this idea resonates with you, let me know. Drop a comment below and type number 1 if you're ready to embrace the power of silence in your relationships. And if you're finding value in these insights, don't forget to hit the like button. Your engagement helps spread this message to others who might need it. Lastly, if you're new here, welcome to a community that explores the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and its practical application in modern life. Hit that subscribe button and join us on this journey of personal growth and deeper connections. Together, we're creating a space for meaningful conversations and actionable wisdom. Let's keep going. In the next section, we'll delve into the psychology of attraction and explore why stepping back and staying silent often makes people come running. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. 3. The psychology of attraction. Why they come running. Have you ever noticed how people often chase what they feel they can't easily have? It's one of the quirks of human nature. The more accessible and eager we appear, the less others value what we offer. This isn't about playing games or manipulating others. It's a reflection of how attraction works on both psychological and emotional levels. In this section, we'll explore why stepping back and staying silent can create an almost magnetic pull in relationships. It's a lesson rooted in both modern psychology and the timeless principles of Stoicism. Let's begin with a question. Have you ever felt smothered by someone's attention? Maybe it was a friend who constantly texted, a partner who needed reassurance every hour, or even a colleague who refused to give you space. How did you feel? Likely their overwhelming presence made you want to withdraw. Now flip the scenario. Have you ever been intrigued by someone who was calm, composed, and didn't seem to need your constant attention? Chances are you found yourself drawn to them, wondering what made them so confident and self-assured. This dynamic is at the heart of why stepping back often draws others in. When you stop over-pursuing, you create space for curiosity, reflection, and genuine connection. Instead of being an overwhelming force, you become an inviting mystery. This isn't about being distant or cold, it's about finding balance. People are naturally drawn to those who respect their own boundaries, and, in doing so, respect the boundaries of others. Here's where Stoicism comes in. At its core, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts, actions, and emotions. It urges us to let go of the need for external validation. When you embody this principle in relationships, you stop seeking constant reassurance or attention. Instead, you cultivate a quiet confidence that others can't help but notice. Think about the most charismatic people you've met. Were they the ones clamoring for attention, or were they the ones who carried themselves with quiet assurance? This is the paradox of attraction. The less you try to force it, the more naturally it flows. Stepping back signals to others that you value yourself, and this self-respect becomes irresistibly attractive. Now, let's dive deeper into the psychology behind this phenomenon. One of the key factors at play is something psychologists call the scarcity principle. People value what they perceive as rare or hard to obtain. When you're always available, you risk being taken for granted. On the other hand, when you step back, you create a sense of scarcity, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that highlights your value. By staying silent or withdrawing slightly, you give others the chance to miss you, to reflect on what you bring to their lives. But let's be clear, stepping back isn't about creating artificial distance. It's about being intentional with your energy. Ask yourself, am I over-investing in someone who hasn't matched my effort? Am I giving more than I should to a situation that isn't reciprocal? If the answer is yes, it's time to realign. Stepping back allows you to preserve your energy for people and situations that truly deserve it. Here's a practical example. Imagine you've been reaching out to a friend repeatedly, only to get minimal responses. Instead of sending another text or wondering why they're not reciprocating, step back. Focus on your own growth, your own happiness. Let them come to you. Often, when we give others the space to realize what we mean to them, they naturally gravitate back toward us. But what if they don't? This is where Stoicism offers invaluable perspective. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth. If someone doesn't return your energy, take it as valuable feedback. It doesn't diminish your worth, it simply redirects your focus to where it's most appreciated. This principle isn't just about personal relationships, it applies to professional ones as well. Imagine being in a workplace where you constantly seek approval from a boss or colleague. The more you push for recognition, the less likely you are to receive it. But when you step back and let your work speak for itself, you often find that others take notice. Confidence in your own value, without the need for external validation, is a cornerstone of both Stoicism and professional success. Let's return to the question of why stepping back and staying silent draws people in. Another psychological concept at play here is emotional balance. People are naturally drawn to those who exude calm and stability. When you're constantly reaching out or reacting emotionally, you create a sense of imbalance. But when you step back and remain centered, you become a source of steadiness, a quality that's incredibly attractive in a world full of chaos. Think about it. When someone stays calm in a storm, doesn't it inspire a sense of trust and admiration? By stepping back, you demonstrate that your emotions aren't dictated by external events or other people's actions. This emotional independence is one of the hallmarks of Stoic relationships. It shows that you're not looking for someone else to complete you, you're already whole. Now, let's consider how to apply this principle in real life. Start by identifying situations where you're overinvesting. Are you constantly texting a romantic partner, trying to gauge their feelings? Are you over-explaining yourself in conflicts, hoping to be understood? Are you chasing friendships that no longer feel balanced? Once you've identified these patterns, make a conscious effort to step back. Let the silence do its work. Focus on your own growth, your own peace, and let others come to you when they're ready. But stepping back doesn't mean disappearing entirely. It's about creating healthy boundaries, not walls. For example, if someone reaches out after you've stepped back, respond with warmth and openness. Show them that your silence wasn't about punishing them, but about respecting yourself. Before we wrap up this section, let's pause for some reflection. Ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped chasing and started attracting? How might your relationships change if you embraced the power of stepping back? These are the questions that can guide you toward deeper, more fulfilling connections. If this concept resonates with you, let us know in the comments. Type number 1 if you're ready to embrace the psychology of attraction and transform your relationships. And if you're enjoying this journey into the wisdom of Stoicism, don't forget to hit the like button. Your support helps us reach more people who can benefit from these insights. Lastly, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. Join our community of thinkers, learners, and seekers exploring the timeless principles of Stoicism and how they apply to modern life. Together, we're building a space for meaningful growth and connection. Hit that subscribe button and be part of this journey. Stay tuned for the next section, where we'll dive into actionable steps you can take to step back and stay silent effectively. 4. Practical steps to step back and stay silent. At this point, you may be wondering, I understand why stepping back and staying silent is important, but how do I actually do it? How do I resist the urge to act, to speak, to control? These are valid questions, and the answers lie in mastering the art of intentional restraint. In this section, we'll break down practical steps you can take to embody the principles of Stoicism in your relationships. With these actionable techniques, you'll learn how to step back with confidence, create space for growth, and maintain your emotional balance. Let's start with a fundamental truth. Stepping back and staying silent is not about avoidance or detachment in the negative sense. It's about practicing presence in a deeper way, being fully aware of yourself and others without the need to control or dominate the situation. This is where Stoic wisdom shines. Marcus Aurelius said, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." To step back and stay silent is to embody that rock, calm, steady, and resilient. The first step is recognizing your triggers. Ask yourself, what situations make you feel the need to push, explain, or over-communicate? Is it when someone pulls away? When you feel misunderstood? When you fear losing a connection? Identifying these triggers is crucial because they often stem from deeper insecurities. For example, the fear of abandonment might drive you to chase a partner, while the need for validation might lead you to overcompensate in friendships. Once you understand your triggers, you can begin to address them with clarity and intention. Next, practice the pause technique. When you feel the urge to react, whether it's to send a text, make a phone call, or confront someone, pause. Count to 5, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, is this action necessary? Will it improve the situation, or am I acting out of fear or impulse? This moment of reflection can prevent you from reacting in ways that might escalate tension or push others away. But what do you do in the silence? It's one thing to pause, but how do you handle the discomfort that often comes with stepping back? Here's where you shift your focus inward. Use this time to cultivate self-awareness. Reflect on your own emotions without judgment. Journaling can be a powerful tool here. Write about what you're feeling and why. Ask yourself, What am I trying to control that's beyond my power? How can I focus on what is within my control? In the moments of silence, also invest in self-improvement. This is where you redirect the energy you would have spent chasing or over-communicating. Dive into activities that nourish your soul and build your confidence. Read, exercise, meditate, or pursue a hobby. These actions not only enrich your life but also send a powerful signal to others. You are whole and complete on your own. Another practical step is to set clear boundaries. Stepping back doesn't mean disappearing or neglecting relationships. It means knowing your limits and communicating them calmly. For example, if a friend repeatedly cancels plans, you might say, "I value our time together, but I also need consistency. Let me know when you're ready to commit to a plan." This approach is firm yet respectful, allowing you to honor your needs without creating unnecessary conflict. Let's take a moment to explore the power of letting go of outcomes. This is perhaps one of the most challenging aspects of stepping back. We're wired to want results, whether it's a reply to a message, an apology, or a sign of appreciation. But as Stoicism teaches, we cannot control how others respond, we can only control our actions. When you let go of the need for specific outcomes, you free yourself from disappointment and resentment. Instead, you create space for genuine connections to unfold naturally. Here's a practical exercise to help you let go of outcomes. Practice a daily mantra. Repeat to yourself, "I release what is beyond my control. I focus on my own growth and peace." This simple affirmation can ground you in moments of uncertainty and remind you of the bigger picture. But what if stepping back and staying silent feels too unfamiliar or even risky? Start small. Begin by practicing intentional silence in low-stakes situations. For instance, during a casual conversation, resist the urge to interrupt or offer advice. Simply listen and observe. Notice how this changes the dynamic. As you build confidence, apply the same principle to more significant interactions. Let's reflect on how these steps come together in real-life scenarios. Imagine you're in a relationship where you feel unappreciated. Instead of confronting your partner with a list of grievances, try stepping back. Pause and observe their behavior without judgment. Use the silence to focus on your own well-being. Spend time with friends, pursue your passions, and reconnect with your inner strength. This isn't about ignoring the problem, it's about approaching it from a place of balance and clarity. When you do address the issue, you'll be speaking from a position of strength rather than desperation. Here's another example. You're in a professional setting where a colleague constantly undermines your efforts. Instead of reacting defensively, step back and assess the situation. Use the silence to document your contributions and focus on your long-term goals. When the time comes to address the issue, you'll do so with composure and evidence to back your perspective. Before we move on, let's revisit the core question. How do you step back and stay silent without losing your sense of self? The answer lies in embracing the principles of Stoic relationships. Focus on what you can control, let go of what you cannot, and cultivate inner peace. This isn't just about transforming your relationships with others, it's about transforming your relationship with yourself. If these ideas resonate with you, let us know in the comments. Type number 1 if you're ready to apply these practical steps and embrace the power of intentional silence in your life. And if you found value in these insights, don't forget to hit the like button. Your support helps this message reach more people who might need it. Finally, if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Join our growing community of thinkers and seekers who are exploring the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and its relevance in today's world. Hit the subscribe button and be part of this transformative journey. In the next section, we'll explore the incredible rewards of patience and detachment. 5. Reaping the rewards of patience and detachment. Imagine this. You've stepped back, stayed silent, and allowed the space for others to show their intentions. At first, it might have felt uncomfortable, like walking a tightrope between caring and letting go. But over time, something remarkable begins to happen. You notice a shift. People who once seemed distant start leaning in. Conversations take on a deeper, more authentic tone. You feel lighter, freer, and more in control of your emotions. This is the ultimate reward of patience and detachment. the transformation of your relationships, and more importantly, your inner world. So what makes this shift so powerful? And why does it feel so liberating? Let's explore the rewards that come when you embrace the principles of Stoic relationships and embody the wisdom of stepping back. The first and perhaps most immediate reward is clarity. When you step back, you remove the noise, the overthinking, the over-explaining, the endless chasing. This silence allows you to see things for what they truly are. You begin to notice patterns in your relationships. Who reaches out when you're not pushing? Who values your presence when it's not guaranteed? This clarity is priceless because it reveals the genuine connections in your life while exposing the ones built on convenience or habit. But clarity isn't just about seeing others. It's also about seeing yourself. In the silence, you learn to sit with your own thoughts and emotions without judgment. This self-awareness becomes a compass guiding your actions and decisions. You start to recognize when you're acting out of fear or insecurity versus when you're acting from a place of strength and authenticity. This level of introspection is a cornerstone of Stoicism, understanding yourself so you can master your reactions. Another profound reward is emotional balance. When you let go of the need to control outcomes, you free yourself from the highs and lows of other people's actions. Think about how much energy we waste worrying about things we can't change. Will they text back? Do they like me as much as I like them? By practicing detachment, you reclaim that energy. You stop riding the emotional roller coaster and find a steady ground within yourself. Let me ask you, how much of your happiness depends on external factors? And what would it feel like to be truly independent of those factors? This is what emotional balance offers, a sense of peace that isn't swayed by the whims of others. It's not that you stop caring, it's that you care in a way that doesn't compromise your well-being. Detachment also brings mutual respect into your relationships. When you stop overreaching or over-communicating, you allow others to step up. This shift creates a more balanced dynamic. People are drawn to those who respect themselves and their boundaries. By stepping back, you send a powerful message. I value myself, and I value you enough to give you space. This approach fosters healthier, more respectful connections, whether in romantic relationships, friendships, or professional settings. Another reward of detachment is the ability to focus on what truly matters. When you're not consumed by the need to control others, you have more time and energy to invest in your passions, goals, and personal growth. This doesn't just benefit you, it also makes you more attractive to others. People are drawn to those who are purpose-driven and self-assured. By focusing on your own growth, you create a magnetic energy that naturally draws others in. Let's pause here for a moment. How often do you prioritize your own growth? And how might your relationships change if you shifted some of your energy inward instead of outward? This isn't about being selfish, it's about creating a foundation of self-worth that enhances all your connections. One of the most surprising rewards of stepping back and staying silent is the strength of your presence when you do engage. Think of it this way. When every moment is filled with noise, it's hard to appreciate the power of a single note. But when there's silence, that note resonates deeply. By being intentional with your words and actions, you create moments that are meaningful and memorable. This intentionality is a hallmark of Stoic relationships. It's not about saying more, it's about saying what truly matters. Now let's talk about the long-term rewards. Patience and detachment cultivate resilience. Life is unpredictable, and relationships are no exception. By mastering the art of letting go, you become more adaptable to change. Whether it's navigating a breakup, a conflict, or a period of distance, you approach these challenges with grace rather than resistance. This resilience not only strengthens your relationships, but also enhances your overall quality of life. But what about the relationships that don't survive this process? Stepping back sometimes reveals painful truths, that certain connections were built on shaky foundations. While this can be difficult, it's also a gift. By letting go of what doesn't serve you, you create space for relationships that do. Remember, detachment isn't about losing people, it's about gaining clarity on who truly belongs in your life. Before we wrap up this journey, let's reflect on how far we've come. Stepping back and staying silent isn't easy, especially in a world that equates action with progress. But as we've seen, sometimes the most powerful action is restraint. By embracing patience and detachment, you're not just improving your relationships, you're transforming yourself. Let me ask you one final question. What would your life look like if you fully embraced these principles? How might your relationships, your peace of mind, and your sense of purpose evolve? These are the questions that can guide you as you continue this journey. If this message resonates with you, let us know. Drop a comment below and type number 1 if you're ready to reap the rewards of patience and detachment in your relationships. And if you found value in this discussion, don't forget to hit the like button. Your engagement helps this message reach others who might benefit from it. Finally, if you're new here, welcome. Join our growing community of thinkers and seekers exploring the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and its practical applications. Hit the subscribe button and become part of this journey toward deeper connections and greater self-awareness. As we reach the end of this journey into the transformative power of stepping back, staying silent, and letting others come to you, it's time to take a step back ourselves and reflect. What have you learned? What shifts in perspective have these insights sparked within you? This isn't just about relationships, it's about how you choose to show up in life. The principles of patience, silence, and detachment, grounded in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, are as much about self-mastery as they are about connection. Let's revisit the core ideas we've explored. When you push too hard in relationships, you create resistance. By stepping back, you allow space for curiosity, growth, and authentic connection. Silence, far from being a sign of passivity, is a powerful tool for listening, understanding, and creating balance. Attraction isn't about chasing, it's about embodying the quiet confidence that draws others in naturally. And through patience and detachment, you gain clarity, emotional balance, and a sense of freedom that enhances every aspect of your life. But as you move forward, there's one truth to keep close. This journey isn't about manipulating others or playing games. It's about living in alignment with your values, focusing on what you can control, and letting go of the rest. It's about learning to value yourself so deeply that your relationships become an extension of your strength, not a source of your validation. So how do you carry these lessons into your daily life? Start small. The next time you feel the urge to react, pause. When you're tempted to over-communicate, embrace the silence. When someone pulls away, step back and allow the space for them to come closer or not. These small acts of restraint will compound over time, transforming both your relationships and your sense of self. Ask yourself, what relationships in my life could benefit from more patience? Where can I practice silence to create deeper understanding? Which situations call for me to step back and trust the process? These questions aren't just reflective, they're transformative. They challenge you to grow into the person you're meant to be, calm, centered, and resilient. As you continue this practice, you'll notice something remarkable. The people who truly value you will step forward. They'll meet you in the space you've created. And those who don't, they'll drift away, making room for connections that align with your worth. This isn't a loss, it's a gift. By letting go, you make space for abundance. If you've made it this far, it means you're ready for a change. You're ready to embrace the art of letting go, not as an act of surrender, but as an act of empowerment. This isn't the end of your journey, it's the beginning of a new way of living, a way rooted in self-respect, clarity, and the quiet strength of Stoic relationships. Before we part, let me leave you with one final thought. True strength isn't found in how loudly we speak or how much we do. It's found in our ability to remain steady, even in silence. It's in the patience to wait, the wisdom to step back, and the courage to trust that what's meant for us will come. If this message has resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Type number 1 if you're ready to embrace these principles and transform your relationships. And don't forget to like this video if you found value in it. Your support helps us reach more people who might need this message. Finally, if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to join our community. Here, we explore the timeless principles of Stoicism and their practical applications for modern life. Hit that subscribe button and become part of this journey toward personal growth and deeper connections. Thank you for being part of this conversation. Your presence here means more than you know. Until next time, may you find peace in patience, strength in silence, and wisdom in letting go.